Recipe Part 4. Beaver Nap. That night during dinner, John thought about Norbert's scent. That sweet, musky animal smell. He longed to experience it from the very body of Norbert Beaver. He longed for Norbert's touch so desperately. Sitting at the dining room table, slowly and mindlessly chewing the heated canned chicken, his mind was fixated on an image projected by his brain of Norbert sitting before him, staring right back into his eyes without expression. He knew it was time. He didn't want to admit it, but tonight had to be the night. He couldn't stand another night alone with that stuffed animal, not when the real thing was so close. He said it out loud. "Tonight, we meet. This is it, Norbert. I'm coming." He got up from the table and dropped his plate in the kitchen sink, and went to his bedroom to get changed, returning in the usual black outfit. He left the lodge leaving the lights on and door unlocked, and disappeared into the dark bush. The trees creaked and groaned against the strong cold wind. John looked up. The sky was totally black. He sensed the storm building in the moist air. Fitting, he thought to himself. John knew the path well and soon arrived at the pond where the Beavers' dam resided. The wind howled through the valley as he walked through the long grass that swooshed in the strong wind. All the windows glowed yellow. However, all the curtains were closed. That didn't matter to him. He was ready to get Norbert's attention. "No spying this time," he told himself. "This is it." John decided to try the bedroom window first. He wasn't keen on Daggett knowing he was there if possible. If it was Daggett who answered at the window, John would accept it and improvised. Carefully climbing the straw thatching, John crept up to the bedroom window and crouched, pausing for a moment. "You can do it. Just tap the glass. Do it. Do it." Eventually he raised his hand and flinched as he tapped on the glass. It was louder than he meant it to be. Each second he sat there seemed to take a lifetime. It was almost too much to bear. Then the curtains moved and opened just a crack. An eye appeared in the gap, and John stared back at it like a lost puppy. "Oh God," John thought to himself. The curtain opened fully, revealing the beautiful golden yellow beaver named Norbert. John waved. He felt like such an idiot. Norbert opened the window with a perplexed look. "What on earth are you doing on my roof?" Norbert inquired cautiously. "Hey, I'm John. I live just up the river there," he said, pointing to the trees. "Would you let me in?" he asked innocently. Norbert looked at him sideways with an impatient expression. "Not until you tell me why you're on my roof, and at this hour." John smiled. "I'm sorry, please. I just want to talk to you. Please, just let me in." Norbert knew he shouldn't, but John appeared mostly harmless. He looked like such a geek. Norbert opened the window fully and stepped out of the way, letting John climb in. John stepped into the Beaver's bedroom and closed the window behind him. He stood up and looked around. "Fantastic room. You guys built this whole place yourselves?" he asked with semi-fake awe. "Oh, yeah," Norbert said with a nervous smile, looking around and back at John. He was so tall, he towered just more than twice at Norbert's height. Cautiously but casually, Norbert walked around John towards the bed in case the human tried to corner him. "Why are you here, John?" Norbert asked plainly. "Norbert, I just wanted to meet you. I'm such a fan of the show," John said. "But why come here like this? What were you hoping to achieve, climbing up the roof and tapping at my window?" Norbert asked. I'm just so nervous about it, John looked at Norbert, examining the furry animal that stood just a few feet away from him. the scent, the energy of the creature. John felt so consumed by it was intoxicating. Norbert sensed something wasn't right. John, he started, but John stepped closer and knelt down in front of him, looking him right in the eyes. Norbert Beaver, John said, grasping Norbert's soft, furry arm. Norbert, I love you. I can't stand it anymore. I just had to see you for real. It's been so long and I'm desperate, Norbert. I love you so much, he said, exasperated. As John's words registered in Norbert's mind, an icy chill swept over him. This human was completely insane, and Norbert wasn't interested in any kinky interspecies encounters, let alone someone with wild claims of love for him. He was only interested in boy Beavers, naturally. You're not serious, Norbert stammered, glued to the spot. John knew by the way Norbert looked at him that this was not going to go his way no matter what. Norbert radiated dislike and John sensed it. Deadly. Norbert, how would you feel about coming over to my house for a while? Norbert withdrew his arm from John's grasp and took a two back. I think he probably means step back. John stood up and looked down at Norbert. Please, Norbert, please give me this. I need you. I need to have you. My life is nothing without you in it. Just one night even. Anything. No, John, it's not as easy as that. You can't just come unannounced to my home and demand sex. That's disgusting. What the hell's wrong with you? Get out! He shouted, walking towards the door. John was not going to let it go that easily. He was going to have this Beaver no matter what. Before Norbert reached the door, John tackled Norbert and pinned him down to the floor, and both hands around his neck. Norbert struggled frantically, panicking. His eyes bulged with fear as John squeezed harder on the Beaver's furry neck. I'm sorry, Norbert. You don't have a choice. John continued to hold Norbert. Eventually the struggle died down, and so Norbert lay unconscious in front of John. I'm so sorry, he said, releasing Norbert's throat. John stared at Norbert for a moment, watching his chest rise and fall slowly and drool sip from his mouth. This is it. Here we go. Oh shit. John took a deep breath and lifted Norbert off the floor with both hands and carried him to the window, placing him on the floor and opening the latches. The cold wind outside swept through the opening, and John started to climb outside. Once on the other side of the window, John reached inside and dragged Norbert through. This would have been so much easier going through the front door, John thought to himself bitterly. Could have just locked Daggett in a cupboard, easy as that. But no, you had to go for the fucking window. Winnowed. He had to go for the winnowed, guys. Stupid. Soon John was at the roof's edge with Norbert lying next to him. He sat and dropped off onto the wooden decking without a sound. Rubber-soled shoes are a creeper's best friend. It was so dark. If anyone were around to witness John pulling Norbert off the roof of his own dam, they would have seen nothing. Just the dim glow from the light behind the curtains gave John the guidance he needed to navigate. He pulled Norbert from the roof's edge, letting the Beaver fall against his chest and onto his arms. The weight nearly caused him to lose his balance, but he quickly recovered and ran as fast as he could toward the forest, holding Norbert tightly. It began to rain lightly. He kept running, fixated on his goal. The lodge was close, and soon he would be enjoying the soft, warm touch of the Beaver he was carrying. Finally, seeing the light of the lodge through the trees, John pushed himself as hard as he could. The trees cleared and John raced up the yard to the front door, kneeling down to open it while holding Norbert. Pushing it open and entering, John twisted around and clicked it closed again and walked quickly to the bedroom. He dropped Norbert on his bed and looked at him for a moment. Norbert was beginning to wake up. John quickly retrieved 2 of his belts from the closet and secured Norbert's arms tightly to the metal bars of the bedrest. It's done, I can't believe it, John thought to himself as he stood in front of an unconscious Norbert. This is what I've been dreaming of for so long. We're finally here.